Hey everybody, my name's Jeff. I'm a SME and also a coach who works with people in the construction industry.
Hey everyone, I'm Rochelle. I'm a proposal management consultant in the architecture, engineering, and construction industry.
And this
is Burnout Banter.
So, welcome everybody. This month, we're going to talk about success, how it leads us astray, how we can take back control by defining it for ourselves, and why it's so important that we do so. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts so that you can stay up to date and get notified when new episodes drop. And right now we're doing that monthly.
Woo.
Yay. So we wanted to start by talking, I think when we talk about success, it's important to talk about, why we should have our own definition of success. And there's a lot of research that's been done on people who are, at the end of their life and looking back and reflecting on what their life has been. One that I thought was important or was on point was a 2009 study done by Bronnie Ware. She's a palliative care specialist, and she had spent a lot of time with people at the end of their life and asked them, what were some of their top regrets. And some that they came up with was wishing I'd had the courage to live a life that was true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Wishing I hadn't worked so hard, which I think a lot of us can relate to that one.
That one gets me.
Wishing I had the courage to express my feelings.
Also gets me.
Yeah, wishing I'd stay in touch with my friends. And the last one was wishing that I'd let myself be happier.
I feel all of these very, very deeply. And I'm not even at the end of my life, so maybe I'm ahead of the game there. But that's really sad to me that this is what was expressed by people, when they didn't have time to change things. Oof.
Yeah. It's kind of sad to think about, right? At the end, having that much regret about your life.
Yeah, I just how do you get to that point? What have we done that we get, decades into our life and then realize I didn't do it right?
Well, hopefully that's what we're going to talk about today.
Perfect. Look at me on top of things.
So, you're leading into it really well, right? How does this happen? How do we get to the end of our life and have so much regret? How do you think that happens, if you were to guess?
I feel like we kind of, as a society, have structured things maybe to make it easier for us, but we've kind of had these predefined paths. And I'm going to go with the work hard one because that's the one that struck me the most. But we have this story that is told to us from a young age where you go to school, you go to college, you get a good job, you make the paycheck, you buy the house with the white picket fence, you have your partner, your white picket fence, your dog, your 2.5 kids. That's the American dream, right? And
Yes.
Every step you take is supposed to chase that. But our working world is not quite built for that anymore. There's just we're just putting so much effort into chasing that dream and forget what the dream is. And so I think that's where that starts to come from. Is you've been told what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to chase and what you're supposed to want at such a young age that you haven't decided what you want yet. And then you just spend your whole life chasing that because you were told to in those formative years. So that's my guess, my interpretation.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think another big thing that influences it is the societal idea of what success is, right? We're flooded with media and news and stories about rich and famous people and how amazing their lives are. And so we think that in order for our life to be amazing, we have to achieve a certain amount of success or a certain amount of wealth or a certain amount of fame. And I think, maybe even not, if it's not on a national scale, it's at a local scale, right? What are my friends doing?
Right.
What are my neighbors doing? So we try to keep up with what everybody else is doing and never really ask ourselves what's important to us.
Or why. Why are we doing this?
Yeah. So what did you think success was when you first started?
Ooh, so I started working in college and I was going to school to be an advertising, like super awesome executive. I don't know if anybody knows that about me, but I did start in advertising. And so I had this like big dream of being in like Chicago or New York and like working for those big name agencies like Leo Burnett or Ogilvy, the ones that run like the Coca-Cola accounts and like doing multinational, big, cool stuff. So I could point to the TV and be like, I helped with that commercial, or like, yeah, I figured out the Super Bowl ads. Like for me, it was a very prestige thing. Um, Obviously, I did not go that route.
Very Mad Men-ish.
You're very Mad Men. I was 100% all in on the Mad Men dream, except like being the woman on top. And
Yes.
that was super appealing to me because I've always been very like competitive, I guess. And advertising is very competitive. So I was just kind of drawn to it. But that was me. What
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily set out to be in construction. I kind of fell into it. But once I got into a role in construction, in the engineering side of things, it was very much prescribed as to what you were supposed to do next, right? So as an engineer, now you need to become a project engineer or running projects. And then you need to become a project manager, and then you need to become an associate and a senior associate and principal. And the image of success was the principals in the firms who had nice cars and second houses. And
Right.
so
Living the
that
life,
was
living the
that
dream.
was what I did without really even questioning why I was doing it, other than that's just what you were supposed to do. And
I
with that
didn't
would
make
come,
it. How did you do?
well, I did make it.
Oh, there you go.
I did it. And, the idea was with that would come more money and, more title and more responsibility. And I got to the point where I had done all those things and it wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. And, even wondered why I wanted to do that in the first place.
Is that maybe when you started to redefine success for
That's,
yourself?
yes. I actually, when it was all taken away from me,
Oh, well,
was
that'll do it.
and trying to decide, did I want to keep doing it again? That was when I really had to define what success was for me.
Okay. How did you do that?
Um, well, one thing I did, I was on an airplane, and I sat
Okay.
down and thought about, okay, I had this job, I did it. What did I really like that I was doing, or what did I really like about having that job, and what did I really not like about having that job? And so I just drew a line down a piece of paper and said, on one side, here's all the things that I like. On this side, here's all the things that I don't like. I also tried to factor in like what energized me
Oh,
versus
okay.
energized me. Um, we can talk more about that in a sec, but then I took that list and made themes. You know, what are the themes of the things that I like? And through that exercise, it became very clear how success was defined by me, and
Okay.
it had nothing to do with promotions or raises or any of the stuff that I thought it had to do with.
Interesting. You took a very engineering approach to
Yes,
the pro con list on steroids.
I did.
I feel like I'm over here making like fairy dream boards or something compared to
A
that.
dream board is a great way to do it also. Yeah.
I've never made a dream board, but yeah, that's I feel like that's where I was.
Yeah. If you're much more creative, I think a dream board could be a great way to start to figure that out for yourself.
I think very non-linearly. I think that's what it was for me. So it was like a web.
Well, you
of-
probably wouldn't like two sides of the paper and line by line.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of lists and checklists. So, maybe I need like a combo. But anyway.
Yeah, going back to the energy, right? There are things that we're good at that
Mhm.
really give us energy, and there are things that we're good at that really drain our energy. And
Right.
so we may have gotten praise for things that we're really good at, but if it drains our energy, it's probably doesn't fit in our definition of success, even though we may be good at it and may get praise for being good at it. Well, an example for me is when I edit specs, that really drains my energy. And so if, even though I may be good at it and know what I'm doing, Um, if I go into something else where I need a lot of energy after having done that, I don't have it.
Okay. How do you feel about letting go of things that you're good at, even though they're draining? Like, it's something you're good at. It's a skill that you have. Uh, is it difficult to let go of it in this defining of success, or do you have to let go of it? Is there a way to still incorporate these skills when you're redefining success for yourself?
Yeah, I think you can. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that question. I just think it's important to be aware of what gives you energy and what takes it away.
Okay. Just checking in, like, does success getting rid of all of that, or is that,
No, I don't
a
think so.
very personal thing?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still an engineer and I still edit specs. I haven't gotten rid of it. It's just, it doesn't fit into my definition of success, but I still do it. I'm just aware that that is a draining task for me.
So don't schedule it before
Do you have
a high
anything
energy
like
meeting.
that for yourself? Yeah.
Uh, I guess editing is still a thing for me. I actually no, I'm going to flip that. Writing. I spend a lot of time writing. I'm one, a compulsive writer, but also a content writer for a lot of things for proposals. I schedule those, like if I have to draft anything from scratch or write anything, whether it's like a cover letter or, if I'm outlining something to send off to somebody else to fluff in, fill in. We don't fluff in proposals, fill in. Um, that I pour so much of myself, I feel like, into these things, especially when I'm trying to write like a really impactful cover letter or like something that I really need somebody to connect with. Um, that I do come out of the other side of it after having drafted it, thinking like, okay, I need to go, like, I need to do something mindless, like, or I need to do some design work or something where I could just like listen to a podcast in the background because it takes so much out of me. And it's actually something I really enjoy doing. I really love writing. I really love pouring my heart and soul into these things and like seeing the final outcome. And I love getting that praise afterward, like, "Oh, Rochelle, you did a really good job on this," because they can tell when I've poured myself into it. But you give up a piece of yourself to produce this thing, and it just knocks me out.
Yeah. And I think something like that, right, where you love it, the awareness that it's going to drain your energy is really important because it may dictate when you do it.
This is why I schedule writing for the morning
Yeah.
because I'm most
Yeah.
productive then. Leave me alone.
But I think we have to separate, if something really drains us and we don't like it, how do we separate that from the praise that we get for maybe being really good at it?
Right. Right. I like small pieces of content. If I'm writing 5 or 6 lines for something, those, because they're so small, really tend to annoy me if I have to stack them up. And even though it's the same thing, it's writing. I am praised for my writing skills. It's not the same as writing those like big pieces. So it's
Yeah.
an interesting distinction.
Yeah. I think another great tool you can use is called the 5 whys. So
Ooh,
um,
tell me more.
what's something you want to accomplish? Do you have any ideas?
I am in the middle of NaNoWriMo, so I am trying to accomplish writing a book.
Okay.
By the
Um,
way, this is being recorded in November in case anybody's wondering.
so if you were able to write a book, what makes that important to you? Why is that important?
Because I love to write, and nobody I think gets to see my writing as a proposal person, and I get to do creative writing when I write separately. I would love to just have a published work that I can share with people. Like, hey, these are the crazy things that are in my head. I put them into a cohesive plot. Please enjoy it, I guess.
Okay. And if they enjoy it, what do you get out of that?
That makes me happy because I would love to bring a little bit of joy to somebody else's life. I love reading, and so I love the feeling that I get when I read a good book. And if I could inspire that in someone else, that'd be amazing.
Okay. And what is happiness? So if you're happy that you've inspired people in that way, how does that benefit you? What does that do for your life?
I mean, it would make me happy
Okay.
because it's
And
something I don't have to do. It's something I wanted to do and accomplished on my own. Just because it brought me joy. And that's, I feel like, something I don't do very often as a proposal person. Like, going back to that, I regret working so hard. All I feel like I do is work and think about work. And so having an opportunity to do something outside of that would be a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. So I heard creative. I heard happy, makes you happy, inspire others. So that's where asking 5 questions, right, can kind of pull these things out of us that are a lot deeper than just writing a book.
I see what you did there. That was crafty.
Makes sense. So always, if there's anything that you think would help you define success, ask why and ask why and ask why and ask it 5 times, and you'll really get to the root of what's driving you to want to do whatever it is that you want to do.
Is this what you did on the airplane after you made your pro con energy list?
I don't think I knew about the 5 whys at that point in time.
Oh, okay.
I more looked at categories of what I was really enjoying.
Did any of those categories, did any of those categories relate to your, if you did the 5 whys afterward, did you see like a connection there?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you intuitively knew your whys. That's cool.
I guess so. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So do you have a current definition of success for yourself that you're living off of?
It has changed completely from, early college Rochelle and her taking over New York and Chicago days. So success right now for me is being in control of my workload and my schedule and making sure that I have time to not work. So I have time to spend with friends and family and exploring creative things and kind of feeding the soul part of me and less of the success and driven part of me, because driven Rochelle is very real and competitive and can sometimes take over softer, creative, flowery Rochelle, and she needs to be out too. So success for me is finding that, like, letting both sides of Rochelle be free at some point.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. And I love that creativity was a part of that. And I think what was cool about your definition is that it touches on work, but it also touches on why that's important outside of work too.
I know you don't like the term work-life balance, and I've come to not like it either, because work is part of life. And so it's weird to balance life with life. But it's a very conscious thought that I have in building my definition of success now, is very much, work has to be a part of it because I haven't like won the lottery or anything. And also I enjoy my work. I really do. But making sure that I don't get lost in it. And so making sure I bring in those, personal outside of work pieces in wherever I can. But
Yeah.
I'm curious about what your new definition is, because we haven't talked about it. We've talked about how you got there, but you haven't said what it is yet.
Yeah. So what was interesting, the thing that I enjoyed most about being in that role of principal in charge of 40 people at an office was the impact that I got to have on those people in helping them grow into who they wanted to be, both professionally and whatever they wanted to achieve outside of work. So those were my favorite parts of being in that role. So mine centers around that. So it's helping people be better tomorrow than they are today. And in doing that, hopefully it helps me and my family get to explore and enjoy all of the things that life has to offer, from culture to travel to reading and whatever it is, right, that life offers us. That's what
that. I love it. It's open. It's a little bit open-ended, a little bit allows for room to explore. It incorporates things that are important to you, like your family, but also the helping of others. You can tell that you very much care about the people that are around you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and what's been helpful about it too, right? So I still fill a role as an engineer and as a department leader, and it's allowed me to view that in a completely different way than I was viewing it before. So before, right, there are certain parts of engineering that I don't love. I think we've talked about this before, but what it allows me to do is, as a department director, look at okay, the engineering's a part of it, but look at all these people that I get to have an impact on every day. And so it's allowed me to view the role way differently than I would have viewed it in the past, where it would have just been, well, look at all this engineering I have to do, and I don't like that, so I don't want this role. Um, but
Finding balance within your role.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like
yeah.
it.
What's important in your role to you, right? So that
Right.
you can feel like a success.
Going back to that first likes, dislikes, pros, cons list.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I was actually talking to a group of students at Penn State last week, and with another person, and we were talking about work-life balance, and she used a term, work-life harmony, that I thought was a pretty great term also.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that because it is all life, but it's just different aspects of your life that need to be in harmony or in balance, in tune with each other. And I think that's really important. I know you talk about alignment a lot. And so to know that like your definition of success wraps around both your work and professional life and your private life, I think that's really important to keeping us true to ourselves and in alignment and making sure that, we get to the end of our life and are satisfied with the path that we have taken. We're not hiding or restricting a part of ourselves and for the sake of another part of ourselves.
when I think the other thing it helps you do is realize that I don't have to wait until I'm done working to experience all this stuff that I want to experience. I can experience it right now, and I
Absolutely.
just have to keep work in its role as a way of supporting me doing that.
Stay in harmony, stay in balance, stay in
Yeah.
alignment.
So why is it important to know your own definition of success, do you think?
Well, I'm going to go back to the very, very beginning where we were talking about, being told and then following that blindly. Like, this is what success is supposed to look like, and you follow it. I think once you explore yourself and you have defined success for yourself, it's easier for you to make decisions in all aspects of your life that keep you content, keep you happy, keep you safe, keep you successful, because this is your definition of success. So you're not like veering off, looking for prestige or money or title or whatever it is, because you know what you want and what you need to have a fulfilling life.
Yeah,
So,
I completely agree. I don't think I could have said it better.
oh, thank you.
Um,
You've taught me so well.
yeah, but I mean, in coaching, that's one of the first things I do with people is define success, because until we've defined that for ourselves, how can we know that the decision that we're making is the best decision for us in the moment with whatever information we have? If our true north is not true north, then we're gonna end up off path.
Exactly. Or you'll just, maybe you'll get lucky, but um, I think it'll be a lot more difficult to find your way forward.
Yeah, and I mean, there are loads of famous people who have, we would all consider to be very successful, and people would want to model our lives after that, upon reflection, reflected back, and similarly to where we started, right, with regret. Even Barack Obama, right, as a president during his daughter's formative years, had regret that he missed out on being a bigger
Oh,
part of their life as they grew up. And
he talks about them so much, even now. Anytime you see him speak, he always loops in his daughters and Michelle. So I now will see that in a different light.
yeah, I'm sure upon reflection, he's even more certain that that's what his definition of success is, right? Is
Interesting.
impacting them. And then even, Paul McCartney wished he had spent more time with his mom. Um,
Oh,
so, people who we would all consider very successful professionally uh, still have regret because they didn't, at the time didn't know what success meant to them. So,
right. Chasing, fame and fortune and all of that doesn't mean anything if you don't know why you're chasing it.
yeah, yeah. So that's why we think it's important to define success for yourself.
Absolutely. That's why we started with this first episode, to help you define success. I don't know about you, but I am ready to move into some burning questions.
I am too. Just, one thing I wanted to mention is if you want to share your definition of success with Rochelle
Oh,
and I
yes.
at the, after you take some time and think about it, we would love to hear what you come up with. So you can find us on LinkedIn and share, and we'd love to hear it.
You can also, if you don't want to be quite so public with it, you can DM us on LinkedIn, or you can email us at burnoutbanter@gmail.com.
And now it's time for burning questions.
So here's one that we got. How do I get to the point where I can take a vacation and not have to work the whole time?
Oh, dear. Having just taken a quote unquote vacation where I not only brought my laptop, broke my rule, brought my laptop, but also scheduled a networking event for 3 out of the 5 days that I was on vacation. This one's going to be a do as I say and not as I do. I broke all of my rules.
Did you submit this question?
I should have. Oh, I should have before I went on vacation. And I was doing so well too. But what I did before this, when I first started my business and I was bringing my computer everywhere because I'm a one-person shop, and like, if you can't get a hold of me, it's like the world's going to end. So what I started doing was just like a lot of pre-planning. So the minute I got an RFP, I put down my blackout dates in my proposal management plan. Before I agreed to it, I emailed the client and said, hey, yes, I can take this on, but just so you know, I'm going to be gone these days. They're blackout days. I will be unavailable for contact. Is that okay? And once they said yes, that gave me permission to then follow through and like protect those dates. If there was anything that became a conflict, like the client issued an addendum that, we had to fill out or sign something while I was not there, I would work with my clients to make sure there was a backup person that was able to, insert an electronic signature and put it into the PDF, or I gave them specific instructions, like here's the print shop back when we, actually printed proposals. Here's the print shop that did this for you. They have notes for me that they're not to start printing this proposal until this day, just in case an addendum comes out. If it does, you can email the signed addendum to this email address. Like, I just left super detailed, pre-planned, as much as I could to make sure everything was set before I left. And then the hardest part was just leaving and letting go and thinking that, there's nothing else I can do. The world might end, but it's out of my control, and I've done the best that I can.
When you started doing that, so, your clients probably weren't used to it before.
Nope.
So when you started doing that, did you just jump into a 2-week vacation and say, this is what's happening? Or did you kind of build up to?
I brought my computer everywhere just in case. It was like a safety blanket for me. I remember vividly going to Hawaii for 2 weeks, and I brought my computer with me. And I said it was so that I could process photos while I was there. So I lied to myself, because my work computer and my personal computer were the same at the time. And there were 2 instances where I did have to log on, and I did have to take care of something that someone else just was unable to. It was, we had to edit something in the InDesign document that they didn't have the program. So there was just literally nothing they could do. And so it worked out that I had brought my computer. But that was it. That was one day. And honestly, someone could have downloaded one of their interns could have downloaded InDesign and figured it out. Like, they're all trained on it in architecture school. It wouldn't have been the end of the world. And so I felt better, taking those baby steps, having my computer with me, but I just had to keep reminding myself, like, okay, if I hadn't done that, what would have happened? And there's always a plan. There's always something that could have been done. And so I spent a lot of time, like 5 years of time, working with myself and practicing, like, okay, worst case scenario.
Yeah. And now you've gotten to the point where, even though you broke it this last time,
I broke it so bad.
You not take your computer most times when you go?
Most times, no, I don't. The only time I do is if I do legitimately plan on taking a lot of photos and processing them like on the spot. My computer has all of my editing software on it, but I make I still put my out of office on. I make a conscious effort not to open any of my emails. I have all of my email on my phone. I'll check to see if there's important stuff because I am not a perfect person and I'm a control freak, and type A. So I'll check those, but I make sure I try not to do it on my computer because the minute I do things on my computer, I get sucked into work. If I'm answering an email from my phone, I'm very limited. I can fire off a couple of lines, but I can't access files or look things up the same way that I can on my computer. So I try to set those boundaries for myself. And if possible, I just try not to bring my computer at all.
Yeah, I think the thing that you said that I would recommend is the baby steps.
Yes.
So I think, putting things in place to practice doing it, even if it's just for a day.
Yeah.
And see how it goes during the day. And then maybe next time it's 2 days and see how it goes and what did we learn. And so you can build yourself up to taking a longer break from work, especially if nobody's used to you doing that. So that, it's not, well, I'm just going to take 2 weeks off and not work. And, we all know that's going to cause problems potentially.
Exactly.
So whether it's having your computer, but maybe not using it, whatever the baby steps are for you, I think building ourselves up to the goal of where we want to get to instead of trying to just do it all at once is really helpful in getting us there.
And I think that goal is similar to, we were talking about success today. I think that goal varies depending on who you are. If you are comfortable bringing your computer every vacation and not leaving it in your bag and not touching it, but just you feel better knowing it's there, that's fine. That's fine. Bring your safety blanket, bring your safety net. You are in control of it. If you choose not to use it, but it makes you feel better, go for it,
Well, and I would give you the same advice if you went on vacation knowing that, there was an important reason why you wanted to interact with those people that you interacted with. What's wrong with that?
There really wasn't anything wrong with it. It was just very draining. I had a wonderful time. I connected with people I've known on LinkedIn for years now, but have never met in person. So it was super exciting to meet some of them. I just had an absolute blast and a ball. But I am an introverted, or I'm an extroverted introvert. So my energy is drained significantly in social situations. And I think I just didn't properly plan for one networking event, maybe 2 would have been enough. 4, because a couple of them were stacked, was just too much. And they were before the actual vacation part kicked off. And so I didn't have, going back to energizing and, draining of energy. I had drained all of my energy before I actually got to start vacation. So it was a planning thing and I wasn't thinking about it. There wasn't anything inherently wrong, but for me, I did it backwards.
Yeah,
I didn't think about it.
And what's great about that is, okay, I tried something and now I can adjust going forward, right? I can learn from that. And, you don't need to be really hard on yourself. It's just, okay, I learned this about myself and next time I'll do something different. And I think that's how we get to the point where we can take a break from vacation and not have to work, is we have to build up to it. You can't you can just say you're not going to work, but
power to you if you can do that.
It's pretty hard. And
I'm really impressed.
When I was running the office for Branch Pattern, it took me a while to get to the point where I could take a 2-week vacation and I had the people in place that just handled everything while I was gone. But that didn't happen overnight. That took time. And it took me, working with people and getting them in a place where they could do that. So. And
I think, for solo marketers who are still out there going, there's no way, I don't have a team of people I can turn this over to. It's very much I don't want to say balancing act, but it's very much understanding where your boundaries are, what you are capable of. Because if you do need that break, but you still have to take care of responsibilities, maybe that's something you have to negotiate with your employer or your boss. Hey, I haven't taken a vacation in 3 years because COVID, and I'm the only person who does anything around here. Nobody not does anything around here, but I'm the only person who does these specific tasks around here. Nobody else can quite pick up what I do. There's nobody else I can train. There's no backup plan for if something happens, like there's no catastrophe plan. Or the catastrophe plan is we emailed Sarah while she's on vacation. Maybe you just have to set expectations, like you will be available for 2 hours on Monday, and then the rest of the week you're out, or, like it's all figuring that out. I don't recommend that, but as a solo marketer with my own business, like I have come to terms with the fact that there are times I will, if I want to take a long vacation, like 2 weeks, I will have to bring my computer and I'll have to log on for a couple of hours and then I have to put it away. So
yeah, and what getting really clear on those expectations allows you to do too is communicate with the people you're going on vacation with and say, hey, this may happen.
That too.
They're not now frustrated and disappointed that you're working again.
Yes.
So.
Also very important, because nobody likes the person who runs off to take a work call in the middle of dinner.
Yeah.
Guilty.
So I think you're right. It's setting expectations and building up to it instead of trying to eat it all in one bite.
Exactly. Defining your comfort level, defining, what works for you, what works for your company. What I'm trying to say is there's no single answer. But there's no magic answer here. There's never a magic answer.
No, there's not. Nope. So how do people submit questions if they're interested in submitting a question for us to answer?
We would love to answer your questions. Obviously, they are anonymous, so send them over to burnoutbanter@gmail.com. We'll drop that email address in the show notes as well, and just put burning questions in the subject line so we can find them very easily.
Okay. Well, it's been great talking about success today. Hopefully we've given you a few things to think about as you try to craft your own definition of success. And we look forward to talking to you next month.
Yeah, we also look forward to reading your definitions of success if you want to share them with us. Same email, burnoutbanter@gmail.com. Until next month, I'm Rochelle.
And I'm Jeff, and this was Burnout Banter.